All right, everybody, how's it going? You are now listening to Uncontested with Trey and Trevor and Rob, of course. How's it going, everybody?
It's going really good.
All right. Well, how about you, Trevor? Hello? All right, he's not there quite yet, but that's all right. But anyway, let's get started here. So we have a couple topics we're going to do today. Of course, you kind of know how the format of this show goes. It's sort of like a scuffed, wannabe version of Undisputed, if you will, where we do kind of like a topic-based show where we kind of debate each other on what we think the answers are. Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we won't. It's just kind of like the nature of how things go with these kind of things sometimes. We could agree, but we can add more insight onto the topics. So, it'll be a good time. It should be quite entertaining. We have a pretty good show lined up for you, I think, this evening. We have to start off with, we're going to go with, this is a pretty rare thing because I don't think it's ever happened before in the Super Bowl era, that there has been 3 primetime games and all 3 of them feature teams with a record of 500 or better, of course, non-playoffs, because, all the playoff games are primetime. I don't think it gets any bigger than that. So, regular season. This has never happened before, so it's quite a rare feat. We, of course, have the Texans at the Colts, the Packers at the 49ers, and the Ravens at the Rams. Sort of a trio of very, very good games in an otherwise kind of whatever week. Secondly, we're going to talk about one thing you've noticed is the sort of meteoric rise of all these young quarterbacks, your Russell Wilsons, your Pat Mahomes, your Deshaun Watsons, your Lamar all these young great star quarterbacks potentially. And we're starting to see the decline of these sort of established veterans in the league. Your Bradys, your Breezes, your Roethlisbergers, your Eli Mannings. They're pretty much your Rivers. They're starting to become more and more like relics of the past, more as the standard in the game. So it kind of makes one wonder: is this the end of an older era and the start of a new era, like right now, or are we still kind of in the dying days, or is the old era still going strong? The unathletic, the pocket passing quarterback of the past. And finally, we'll wind it up with where do we think Tua will go in the draft? With the injury, with the surgery going on, he's probably going to have to miss at least 1 year no matter what, probably 2, just based on the way the NFL works. What team will take him on? What team will take on the injury? What team will take on all the risk? And we'll give our thoughts on all that. But so we're going to start today with, of course, talking about the trio of games. Very rare feat. Very cool. And we're going to start with the Colts and the Texans on Thursday night. Both teams are 6-4, and they are going to be battling for first place inside of the AFC West. Or AFC South, sorry. I don't know what the hell I just said. And we'll let Trey take it away.
Alright, so this is honestly going to be a really, really good game between the Colts and Texans. And honestly, it doesn't matter who wins. This is going to be a close affair. The only time Watson going up against the Colts hasn't been a close affair was the one weird playoff game. And considering that's only one time, clearly that is an oddball game. It was his first ever playoff game. And yeah, now that that's out of the way, we could move on and hope he'll be better off in the playoffs. Let's just hope this isn't just a whole playoff slump for him. The other thing to factor in is Watson has been pretty good in prime time. And again, this is a primetime game at NRG Stadium. And he's been already balling out, playing Houdini moves. He's pitched the ball backwards whenever he's already wrapped up. He's got hit in the eye and threw a blind ball for a touchdown. Like, this is not going to be an easy feat to stop Deshaun Watson. Doesn't matter how bad their O-line is right now. even though it's slightly better than the last year, it's still a crap O-line. The Colts, they're going to be a tough opponent. I'll give them that, but they aren't beating the Texans again at home this time. The Colts are a good team. They just got their quarterback back. Yeah, they're a decent team. There's a reason why they are fighting for the AFC South as well, and not the Jags and the Titans, is because they are the other good team in the AFC South.
I mean, this was a team most people had playing the Patriots for the AFC Championship if it wasn't the Chiefs. So I don't know, man. I wouldn't say like, oh, they're just another good team. I would say this is an elite football team that has a backup quarterback in right now. That's how you can describe the Colts. Their defense is still their defense, and that was the strong point of this team.
Yeah, defense is still good. They still got great players. They haven't. This is how good they're 6-4 and have all these wins without Andrew Luck, and for playing for a time with a third-string quarterback. So yeah, the team as a whole is a really great team. They just need to find. If they find a quarterback to fit into that, that's a great quarterback. This team would be one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, having one of the best records in the NFL. But they don't have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. They don't have a number one quarterback right now. They got a good quarterback, but he isn't going to carry the Colts to another victory against the Texans at home right now in primetime when Deshaun Watson plays his very best football. And it's not even like the Texans have been very bad against the Colts recently either. You want to talk about a bad streak for the Texans? You look at 2002 to 2014. Texans have just been shit in that time frame. But in 2015, things changed. We were like, I think we split in 2015. We swept them in 2016. They swept us in 2017, the year Deshaun Watson was injured. And then we split in 2018. And then here in 2019, only one game away. It looks like we could split it again. So this has been, Texans have been doing pretty well against the Colts in recent games. With, again, the playoff game being a weird oddball with how badly Watson played, considering how he's played against the Colts every other game. Every other game, it's been a one-score game either way. And with it being the Texans last year, we only lost by a field goal at home, and then this year we only lost by a touchdown. This isn't just going to be them coming over again and rolling over us either. This is going to be a close game both ways, but Texans home field advantage coming off of a major loss, so they're going to be extremely motivated. Both teams motivated, fighting for the number one spot. So it's kind of hard to say Texans are more motivated, but coming off a very bad loss, I think they have a little bit extra motivation right there. And just Texans, Deshaun Watson, he's going to help carry the Texans into this type of victory. Probably going to be pretty high scoring during defense. The Texans defense is pretty bad. It's going to be the Texans offense that gets the win.
Okay. Is that all you have to say about that for right now?
Well,
so you have the Texans winning you have the Texans winning though?
I definitely have the Texans winning.
Yeah, that's a silly question.
And I could bring up the points allowed overall and the points gained overall. Texans have scored more points than the Colts this year, but they've allowed more points than the Colts.
The Colts aren't really an offensive-based team right now. I mean, I believe Brissett's passing for like 200 yards a game, which is 27th, so...
If you take out the two games that Brian Hoyer played in, the Colts are averaging more points per game than the Texans.
If you take out the Texans, if you take out that one Ravens game, which the Colts don't have a team where they played against like the Ravens,
just the Chiefs.
Texans defense would be doing a hell of a lot better. You can't just take out a game just because it hurts your stats.
Yes, but right now. The difference is you're taking out a game where they just played bad. The two games I took out were when their third-string quarterback were playing.
Yeah, not even the back. All right, I guess, Trevor, you want to start now? It can be...
Yeah. All right, so... I mean, I can spin it another way. Deshaun Watson is 1-3 against the Colts. 1-2 if you don't want to count the playoff game. And the only win he's gotten against them is the OT win last year in Week 4. and that win came because Frank Reich decided to go for it on a 4th and 4 in the Colts' own territory with like 30 seconds left in OT, which basically gifted the Texans a win over a tie because of a bad coaching decision.
But that was still a win, and it was a win against Andrew Luck's Colts.
And I believe the Colts rattled off, like, what was it, like 10 straight wins after that loss, too? Or 9 straight wins. They went like 9-4, then 9-5, then 10-5, then 10-6.
Yeah, both teams went off after that game.
Yeah. Yeah, the Texans went off on a 9-game win streak. Colts went off on a, I don't know if it was a 10 or 9-game win streak. It wasn't that good, but it was a pretty good streak as well. The best streak that year, I think, were the Saints with their 10-game win streak.
Yeah, so worst rule in NFL history created.
Yeah, so my if you take out the 2 games that Brissett was hurt, then the Colts are 6-2 with Brissett playing. And one of those losses came against the Chargers when Vinatieri missed like 2 field goals and 2 extra points. And that's my biggest concern this game is the kicking.
Vinatieri.
Yeah, Vinatieri's 46-year-old, 45-year-old ass is my biggest concern.
But if you take the Colts, they haven't really played a good team. They played against the Chargers, who, again, they lost to and were a bad team. They went and played against the Titans, who are an inconsistent team, but they aren't exactly elite right now. They went to beat the Falcons, who, again, are not a good team. They went and lost to the Raiders, who are an okay team. They went and beat the Chiefs, who were weird at that point. They lost to the Chiefs, then Chiefs lost to the Colts, then they lost to the Texans, and the Chiefs were just really weird at that point. And then they went and played the Texans, where they barely beat us. Then they beat the Broncos, not that good. The Steelers, they lost to, who aren't a good team. The Dolphins, they lost to, who aren't a good team. And yeah, you could say take away those 2 games, but still, those are the 2 games.
That's a third-string quarterback, Brian Hoyer, going against those teams.
Losing against a team that's actively trying to tank. If this is supposed to be a really good team that just has a quarterback that might have a little bit of a problem,
Dude,
they should have been able to beat a team that's actively trying to tank.
What would your team do with the third-string quarterback there, Trey? Would you guys win games despite your
against the Dolphins? Against the Dolphins, yes.
Like you would lose
against the Dolphins. Yes.
What would you guys do? Deshaun's your entire reason you're winning. Remember when you went 4-12 the year after you drafted him because he got hurt after 3 games or whatever? Like that's what you guys are without him. You guys are like a 4-win football team.
Worse than that now. Because the surrounding cast is worse than that year.
Yeah, I mean, JJ's gone. You guys are giving up 170 rush yards a game now. You didn't know it jumped up from 85 to 170, did you? In 2 weeks.
Yeah, part of that was because of the Ravens.
6.6 yards per game.
They went up against the number 1 offense, and I believe the number 1 rushing offense. That kind of skews it a little bit.
The thing I don't get is you're knocking the Colts because they don't have a good win. Their best win is the exact same team that the Texans' best win is against. And they also beat the Texans, who you're hyping up. So you want to say the Texans are a really good team, but then you don't want to give the Colts credit for beating them.
I'm not saying the Colts are a bad team. They did beat us. But again, they're not super elite. They're not going to just come in and destroy us or clap our cheeks. It's going to be a close game. I've said that. But the Texans, they've had a much more difficult schedule.
Hearing Trey say clap cheeks is the greatest thing in the world.
The Texans were 30 seconds away from beating the Saints. We lost to the Saints. And then we beat the Jaguars. Yeah, Chargers we beat. We beat the Chargers that the Colts lost to.
But they also lost to the Colts head-to-head.
And then we lost to the Panthers. We beat the Falcons. They beat the Chiefs too. Then yeah, we lost to the Colts. And again, I'm not saying they're a bad team, but if they lost to the Dolphins, they aren't exactly as good of a team as people may make them out to be right now. They need to get probably a better quarterback in there.
Well, they have a better quarterback in than when they played the Dolphins.
Yeah, they do have a better quarterback now.
Yeah,
But it's not. But the quarterback can't be the only issue when you lose to an actively tanking team. And yeah, Texans beat the Raiders. We just beat the Jaguars, and then we're facing the Colts again. This is a rematch of the Colts. And like I said, last year we split them, and yeah, again this year we're probably going to split them again. That's not saying they're a horrible team. They are a good team, but they're not the greatest team out there who's going to come over here and destroy the Texans. This is probably going to be another one-score game. But I'm just home field advantage. I like my Texans over that. Prime time Deshaun Watson, who's again amazing in prime time. I like the Texans in that. Both teams have their problems. Both teams have their issues. Texans home field advantage plus prime time, where Deshaun Watson usually plays out of his mind there. I like the Texans in that situation.
The one other thing I have on it is Marlon Mack's injured now, right? But he had 44 yards in the first matchup this year that the Colts won, and didn't even have 2.5 yards per carry. So I know you didn't bring it up, but I just want to point out that might be a reason that people might lean towards the Texans, but I don't think that's a factor, just because the rushing game for the Colts did next to nothing in the first game. And that first game was the best game of Jacoby Brissett's career. He had 326 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think the rushing isn't going to be the biggest factor there. It's going to be, and it's not even going to be the Colts. It's going to be which can keep up more. Can the Texans offense do enough to keep ahead of the Colts offense, or will the Colts defense do enough to stop Deshaun Watson? That's the bigger question there. Yeah, it's mostly between the Texans offense and the Colts defense, because we know the Colts offense is going to be able to do stuff against the Texans defense. It's the big matchup question is the Texans offense versus the Colts defense. And historically, the Colts there's a player that does really well in the Colts team at receptions in NRG Stadium. So we know he's going to have a big game.
T.Y. Hilton destroys the Texans every time they play, and it looks like he's going to play this week.
Yeah, so yeah, he's going to be there. The Colts offense is going to be able to do stuff against the Texans defense. The question is the Texans offense versus the Colts defense. That's the question. That's why the Colts rushing offense doesn't really factor, and that's why I didn't bring up the only real thing I brought up was the fact that they lost to the Colts when it comes to their offensive ability. It's just the Colts offense, they're going to score against the Texans defense. The secondary is pretty bad, and the Texans rushing defense has been struggling without J.J. Watt and all that. But the Colts rushing wasn't a factor last game, and they don't have him in this game anyways. And they're going to be focusing on the backs on the passes for the deep ball because of how bad the Texans secondary is and how they usually torch our secondary. Again, they're going to score on us. The question is Texans offense versus the Colts defense. And so when it comes to primetime games at NRG Stadium, again, I like the Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it is Trevor's turn.
Go ahead, Trevor.
It wasn't your turn 2.0.
Go on, Trevor.
Well, I've said everything I've got on the game, pretty much.
Okay. I guess I'll give my.
Yeah, unless I hear something and have a rebuttal, then.
Right on. Okay, so I basically am thinking the Colts win this game, and I think they win it pretty goddamn handily. We can go over the recent history and how the Texans just absolutely cannot play against this team. We've already kind of gone over that. The Colts lead the series 28-8 all time. Also, if you go and look at the games, yeah, sure, they gave up some points to the Chargers, to the Raiders, to the Falcons. But, since they got Darius Leonard back against the Chiefs, they've given up 13 points, 23 to your team because it's a division rivalry game, and those are always close. 13 to the Broncos, 26 to the Steelers, but only one of those touchdowns came on offense. The other two came against the defense of the Colts.
The Broncos offense doesn't really do that well.
Just keep listening. 16 points to the Dolphins, 13 points to the Jaguars. They are not giving up points to anybody, including the Chiefs, who you didn't have much to say against when I said them. They were the first team to actually stop the Chiefs and hold them to under 26 points a game. So if you're asking, can the Colts defense rise up to the challenge of beating and stopping Deshaun Watson? Oh yeah, they can. They've done it to much better offenses that are much more dynamic, much more explosive, much more threatening. And I believe the Chiefs still had, if I'm not mistaken, that was they still had everybody minus Tyreek Hill. Neither of you played them with him with Tyreek Hill, so like that doesn't really matter. One of the things I'm also worried about with your team, though Marlon Mack is not playing, the Colts do have a good backup running back. You guys, with J.J. Watt, had a 76.2 Pro Football Focus grade for your rush defense, right? Very good. You had a pretty good running defense this year. 85.4 rush yards per game, 4.1 yards per carry. That's pretty good, right? Since he got hurt, you guys have a 59 Pro Football Focus run defense grade. That's not good at all. You're giving up 170 rush yards per game, and you are allowing 6.6 yards per carry. That is fucking terrible, man. Even if it's just from one team, one player being gone shouldn't make it go that bad that quickly. And we were talking about how the Colts are bad without Brissett. With Brissett this year, they're 6-2, averaging 24 points per game, a 96 passer rating, with 1.1 giveaways. So they're literally only giving the ball away one time, right? All of a sudden, when Brissett got hurt for 2 games, they went 0-2, were averaging just 18 points a game, a 69.4 passer rating, and 3 giveaways a game. So they gave away the ball 6 times in 2 games. That's really, like, when you say how can you lose to the Dolphins, how can you lose to the Steelers? Well, I mean, they didn't have they had their 3rd string quarterback in, and those numbers kind of prove that without Brissett, this team it's going nowhere fast, just like the Texans would be. Brissett's only averaging 200 yards passing. That's not that big of a deal. The Texans are averaging, get this though, this is something not many people are talking about with the Texans that kind of gives them some advantage, but I don't think it really matters against the Colts and Darius Leonard and that defensive front. The Texans are averaging about 140 yards per game rushing, which is 5th in the NFL. That could be a factor in this game, but I don't know if it will. And if this game is close, it should be advantage Colts. If this is a 1-score game, the Colts are probably going to win this. The Colts have the smallest average margin of defeat in this AFC this season. They win games by like 4.75 points a game. So when you think about that, that means Colts they'll get ahead of you by a field goal, and then they'll just stop, and then that's the end of the game, because their defense is going to smother you. Their offense doesn't have to do that much to be able to beat you, because their defense is not going to fuck up and give up a lot of points. Their defense is incredibly healthy right now, and I don't know if the Texans have the they can score, and I don't want to take that away from the Texans because they're a pretty dangerous offense, but I don't know how well the Colts front is going. The Colts front 7, I don't know how well the Texans can deal with that pass rush. I don't know how they're going to deal with the rushing thing. They run the ball pretty well, so I shouldn't really say that they figured out how to run out with that shitty line. But the thing I fear here is the Texans defense, man. That thing is a dumpster fire, and you better really Frank Reich and the Colts with their super offensive head coach. He's going to be ready for this defense, and I think they take advantage of it. I don't really know what the score is going to be, but I'm thinking this leans Colts. I know Houston's home, and that kind of makes a difference, but not really in this series.
I wanted to elaborate on what you said about Darius Leonard for a second, because I actually forgot about that. But
yeah, he was gone until the Chiefs game.
Yeah, if you added up the 6 games since he returned, if you take their points per game allowed in those 6 games, they're 3rd in the league.
Yeah, when you get the best middle linebacker in football back, it's typically you're gonna improve.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had Andrew Luck right now. This wouldn't even be a discussion.
If they had Andrew Luck,
they might even be undefeated right now with Luck. Let's be really honest.
If they have Andrew Luck, they're undefeated.
Yeah, probably based on their schedule.
Colts, yeah, they play Chargers, then Titans, then Falcons, 3 easy wins.
They'd have won every
Raiders,
one of those. They'd have won, then they don't lose
Chiefs,
to the AFC South
Texans,
with Andrew
on
Luck
Broncos,
playing.
Steelers, Dolphins, Jaguars. Yeah,
Yeah,
the toughest two
be
teams
10-0.
would have been the Chiefs and the Texans, and they beat both those teams. Those would have been the 2 toughest teams, and they beat both of them.
they'd have
And the rest of the
mercied
teams are
Chiefs.
just easy victories.
If Andrew Luck
Yes.
was playing for them and healthy this year, I think the
That's-
Saints in Week 15 is the only game that they might lose.
Yeah, and maybe the Patriots if they play the Patriots, but I
Yeah.
don't think we play them this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, they wouldn't play them this year, but that
The Colts
that
have
would
a
mean
pretty
that
easy
the Colts
schedule.
would get home field in the playoffs, and then they might actually have had a real shot at the Patriots.
Well, I don't know about that. Luck sees ghosts. Man, the Patriots got the hardest schedule the next few weeks, man. This is some bullshit. The Browns,
Wait,
the
what?
Ravens, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chiefs. What the fuck kind of schedule is this?
That's what happens when you get.
This is the schedule we should have had all year, though. We
That's what
literally
happens when
went.
you get 7 easy games to start the year. It all
Eh.
adds up.
You know how scared everybody's going to be if we only allow like 13 points a game to the next 3 teams we play in the Cowboys, Texans, and Chiefs? Everyone's going to be like, well, this is fucking gay. They're just going to win the Super Bowl.
No, y'all are gonna beat the Cowboys. You're gonna allow not that many points against the Cowboys.
Well, yeah, because
The
we're a
Cowboys are
passing,
gonna-
we're a
The
passing
Patriots'
defense.
5 hardest games come all in a row in the middle of the season, and then it's surrounded by 11 easy games.
And then we got the Bengals,
Yeah.
Bills, and Dolphins to end the season. We get
Yeah.
the Dolphins to end our season at home.
Yeah, the Texans. You might. I don't know about keeping them down to 13. If you do, yeah, it's scary. The Chiefs.
Yeah, you
can
guys
keep
have
them
never
down.
beaten Tom Brady. We're gonna beat you guys.
No, I'm not saying we're gonna beat you.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
not
I'm
saying-
sorry, dude. That's just a foregone thing. The Patriots
No,
won't
no,
beat the
I'm not
Texans.
saying we're gonna beat you. Okay, I'm not. I didn't say that. I'm saying
No, JJ?
keeping our scoring under 13. That's what I'm saying. Y'all might be able to keep us under 13, but I'm not 100. I'm not sure about that. If you do, yeah, y'all are gonna be scary. And if you keep the Chiefs under 13, who are a really good offense with Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes.
fuck the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The blueprint's out. Bill Belichick knows how to beat them now. He's the one who made
Yeah,
the
but-
blueprint.
So the Bengals, Bills, and then Dolphins after that. Yeah, you keep the Texans and the Chiefs under 13. Y'all are a scary team. The Cowboys, I know
Alright.
you're going to be able to keep them. It's Dak Prescott. The Cowboys rushing hasn't been doing very good, and Dak Prescott is not exactly the most reliable quarterback out there. And the Cowboys have really horrible, sluggish starts. Okay, so you're going to start the first half, and it's going to be like Patriots 14 or maybe even 20, and the Cowboys 0. All the Cowboys scoring is going to be in that second half, and you're going to be able to keep them from scoring over 13.
Right. We should move on to the second game though, so we can get kind of moving laterally through these topics. All right. So that's our Colts and Texans preview. Now the second game of the trio of very good games this weekend comes all the way on Sunday Night Football. It will feature the Green Bay Packers, who are 8-2, at San Francisco, who is 9-1. The winner of this game, of course, will be the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs right now. And that's a big goddamn deal, especially considering the breadth of talent that is in the NFC. You want this position in the NFC. This is where it will matter. Maybe not so much in the AFC because it's kind of a cupcake conference, but this is where it starts to get really real. All right, go ahead, somebody, whoever wants to lead this one off.
Alright. Well, for this one, as much as I don't like the 49ers and I don't respect them, I'm giving the 49ers this win. The Packers, they are a good team. Yeah. Are you really shocked?
Yeah, I thought you were a Packers fan. I figured you would have been all over this one.
Yeah, they're only my third favorite team.
You know what's crazy? Just a fun fact. Do you know Aaron Rodgers has never faced a 9-1 team in his entire NFL career, or a team with a better record than 9-1? So like he's never
Wow.
faced 9-1, 10-1, 11-1, anything like that.
Okay, that is pretty interesting. Yeah. But, yeah,
He
the
also
49ers...
hasn't thrown an interception in 140 passes, so
Yeah.
I'm not picking
There's-
him. Don't worry. I'm not picking him. Don't think I am. I hate this team.
Alright. Green Bay Packers versus 49ers. First off, the 49ers are at home, so that obviously gives them the slight edge there. But they also have, as right now, the better scoring offense, and the better score prevention defense. They've scored 295 points, third in the NFL. They've only allowed 155 points, second in the NFL.
Behind
so
the
the third
Patriots.
scoring offense. What?
Who's number one?
Patriots. Number
Okay.
one for the defense would beat the Patriots. Number
They're
one for
not
the
even
offense.
allowing. Guess the Patriots ain't even allowing 10 points a fucking game right now. By the way, everybody.
Yeah, they've only allowed out of 10. What was it? 10 games so far.
They're allowing. Let's see. They played 10.
They've allowed-
That means they're allowing 50. No, it's 15.
They've allowed
points a game.
108 points. They've allowed 108 points
So
over
it's
10
10.8
games. So that's
points.
yeah, 10.8 points. So, yeah, the Patriots defense is scary. The 49ers, yeah, that's a big gap between the two, too. Patriots allowed 108 points. 49ers in second place, 155 points. That's a
Very good defense.
40-point gap.
Yeah, but the Patriots
And
only play bad teams and still win all their playoff games and go to the Super Bowl every year. But they're overrated because they play bad teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard
I
when I
respect
throw
the
the
Patriots.
actual response into the criticism. I really hate that line of logic. Oh, a team isn't really that good because they play bad teams. What the fuck does that mean? They're all professionals. The Dolphins still win games. The Redskins still win games. The Jets beat the Cowboys this year. That's a stupid statement. It's like, look at the success in the playoffs. Does it still happen? Yeah, then it doesn't matter if they beat bad teams. It is what it is. You should look at the way they beat the teams they beat. That's the real statement. All right, sorry to interrupt you.
That's yeah, well, I respect the Patriots much more than I respect the 49ers. 49ers, they have a real. Here's the thing, 49ers, they got the better offense, they got the better defense. The Packers, they've only got the 9th best scoring offense, and they're tied for 12th in defense. And the defense is supposed to be the focal point of the Packers right now. They got a defense now. They're a really great team. They haven't even cracked the top 10, and they're going against a team that's number 2. And the only team that's better than them are the Patriots in that regard, who are, they're barely letting up 10 points a game. So, 49ers with a really good offense and a really good defense versus the Packers, who have allowed practically 20 points a game. And, well, a top 10 offense it still isn't cracking the top 5. Yeah, 49ers at home. Give me the 49ers on that one.
Yeah, I'll second pretty much everything you just said and add a couple more things. I think the 49ers win this game. Since 2016, Aaron Rodgers is just 10-7 in primetime games. That's not a very good record if we're being honest with each other. Like, that's not that good. He has put up pretty good numbers, though, outside of the win-loss record. 63.6 completion percentage, 293.9 yards per game, with a 102.2 passer rating. But Jimmy Garoppolo is 3-1 in primetime games since 2016, with a 66.2 completion percentage, 252.5 yards per game. They run the ball more. They're a run-first offense with a 101.8 passer rating. Pretty much the same numbers as Rodgers, if we're being honest, except a few more yards for Aaron. But he doesn't have a rush game the way that the 49ers have kind of always had it. The 49ers are the only team in the NFL that ranks in the top 5 in total scoring on offense and top 5 in total and scoring defense this season. So basically, not only can they score on offense and they put up a lot of offense, they're top 5. They do it on defense. They score a lot on defense and they're top 5 in not allowing a ton of yards. And you know how they're pretty good at like stopping the rush. They're pretty good at just shitting on teams. Aaron Jones is accounted for 46.7% of the Packers' touchdowns this season. So do you really think that he's going to have a very good game against that defensive front? I don't think so. So they're going to take out their number one scoring method in Aaron Jones. And I wonder how the Packers respond to that. Also, the 49ers this year have averaged 225.8 rush yards per game versus teams that currently rank in the bottom 10 in rush defense. The Packers rank 25th. So I expect Tariq Cohen to go the fuck off against this team. Specifically, he's probably the reason they score a lot of points on offense this week. So that's what I'd like to add in is basically there are some really weird mitigating circumstances around this game where 49ers should have a lot bigger edge than what people are giving them. Especially considering the strength of the defense, the fact that they score a lot of points on the defense. They're not going to get Rodgers to turn the ball over because that's just something he doesn't do. But what they'll be able to do is stop them cold in their tracks and then score the football. That's typically what they've done, and they'll be able to run the shit out of it, keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, and just kind of impose their will on a team that can't stop the run, a team that runs the ball well. I again, like Trey said, I like the 49ers at home.
I'm a lot more conflicted on the game than you two. That was a good point you mentioned that I really wasn't thinking about. I kind of forgot about how bad the Packers' rush defense was. But
Tariq Cohen just
Breda.
Breda gets hurt.
So I'm a little bit concerned about if Jimmy is throwing the ball like 30 times.
That's true.
Because the Packers secondary and pass rush are both good, and the 49ers do still have some offensive line injuries. And so I could realistically see Jimmy throwing like 2 interceptions here.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen. I would.
Yeah, and so a big difference for me is in the strength of schedule, and like Packers' strength of schedule is 500, 49ers 382.
But that's also because they have the Cardinals, right? Is that like a big part of it?
It's not a huge part of it. It's like the Buccaneers and the Bengals the first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I forget they're playing the
Redskins.
AFC. Yeah, they're playing the AFC North.
Yeah, like the 49ers had a really easy schedule to start the year, just like the Patriots did.
That's true.
But they're having a similar thing where they play the Packers, Ravens, and Saints 3 games in a row starting this week, where they've got a tough middle of the road stretch.
Okay.
But I mean, the Packers' strength of victory is very good. It's over 500, which means that they're beating good teams. Like their losses to the Eagles, who are 500, and the Chargers, who are a little bit under 500. So even though the Packers still have like the Giants and Redskins the next 2 weeks, so some of their easier games have yet to be played, which plays a part in that. But
yeah,
the strength of victory does show that they're beating the good teams that they play.
That's true.
And then the last thing that is big for me is 49ers injuries, because I'm not sure where Kittle and Sanders are right now, but
I don't know if they're playing. That's
if they're missing George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders, I can't take them.
I completely forgot about that.
Those two are the difference for me, because I mean, Vegas has this as 49ers 3-point favorites, which means that they're literally even.
They're going off because it's going at home. Yeah. Home
field advantage counts for about 3 points, so they're basically saying these two teams are evenly matched on a neutral field. So,
I would say so.
Which I agree with.
Yeah. If this was, I think that's part of the reason I'm leaning toward San Francisco as the home field, and they do have a real home field advantage.
And the Packers going from the Central Time Zone over to the West.
I think they're East Coast even.
No, are they? They might.
Yeah, they're 1 o'clock because it's Chicago, but I think they're further north, and I think they cut off right before it switches over to the different time zone right there.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, it is a Sunday nighter, so it's not a huge difference, but moving the time zone still does play an impact.
Oh, it's a huge impactor.
Yeah, but so I'm tentatively going with the 49ers here because of the home field, because of the rushing attack versus the Packers' rush defense. But I mean, if Kittle and Sanders are both out, I don't think it's very likely that it ends up happening.
That's fair. I mean, I did kind of forget about those guys.
Yeah. Kittle is their most important offensive player because he's a great blocker and he's their number 1 receiver. Yeah,
he's the second. He's Gronk, just less back injuries right now.
And Kittle does play a huge part in the rush defense, or rush
rushing
offense
game.
as well.
Yeah,
because
he blocks.
He's such a great blocker.
All right. Well, I'm out of things to say about this one. What about everyone else?
I'm good.
I've got all mine out.
All right. Well, so those are our predictions for the Green Bay and San Francisco game, and now we have the final game of the trio, which is going to be the Ravens playing at the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, this is one of the games in the trio because the Rams are 6-4 and the Ravens are 8-2. I have a feeling all three of us are picking one team to win this game, and it's probably 3 blowouts. But I'll go first on this one because I'm just gonna give some of the more fun statistics like I've been giving. There's an analytics expert named Cynthia Freeland who runs a bunch of these high-level analytics and statistics simulations for teams, and she had the 49ers winning in 52.3% of them. So that's pretty much split right down the middle. She has the Ravens winning at 60.6 in her simulations with an average score of 29-24. I personally think it's going to be something like 38-24 in favor of the Ravens. I think they go out and just blow this terrible fucking team out of the water. Here's some of how bad the Ravens have been this year, and it's comical. Most of it comes from the fact they don't have an offensive line. You could just pretty much blow right through that cheese hole, or that cheesecake of an offensive line. You punch right through it and you're in. So that's not going to bode well, number one. The Ravens are very good at getting at your quarterback. And Jared Goff is very good at giving the football away to the other team, which he's probably going to do a lot to Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, who's going to be hungry feasting on his former team. Goff is one of 2 qualified quarterbacks with 4+ more giveaways than his touchdowns. Just let that sink in. He has 4+ more giveaways. So he's fumbled it, thrown picks, whatever you will, to enough that he has more of those than he does touchdown passes this season. Him and Kyle Allen have done that this year. That's where Jared Goff should be at in his 4th or 5th year after signing that contract, after playing in a Super Bowl. Yeah, that's where he should be. The Ravens, they're feasting on bad defenses, and the Rams have had a bad defense this year. It's just they're not that good. They're not the same old Rams, Losing Sue was a big deal because now you can triple block Donald, who's having a decent year, but it's not what you would have thought it would be. The Ravens have won 4 straight games by 14 or more points. What? That is, to me, the most incredible thing about this run that the Ravens are on. They are kicking the shit out of everybody they're playing. And if anybody would like to know who the last 4 teams they have played, I have that right here for you. It includes, the Bengals, that's a bit of an anomaly, whatever. The Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Bengals.
And the Texans.
Again. No, and the Bengals again. Oh, the Texans. I forgot about the Texans. It's literally been the Texans, pretty good team. Bengals, never mind. The Patriots, pretty good defense. They scored 37 on them. Pretty much the same score I'm predicting in this one. And they scored 30 on the Seahawks, which isn't that hard, but it's still rather goddamn impressive.
They kept the Seahawks offense down to 16 and the Texans offense down to 7, and those are 2 really good offenses, just to add up there.
Yeah, and the Ravens, I think, have the best offensive line in the NFL this year. I think Lamar's been sacked the least in the NFL, mainly because it's impossible to touch him. But we'll see if the Rams can do that, because the one thing their defense can do is they can get after the quarterback. That's the only thing they can do, and again, that's to Donald having a decent season. They have the highest rate at pressuring the quarterbacks, 33.3% of the time. So a third of the time they're on your quarterback's ass. That's whatever. That's literally all they do well. The Ravens lead the NFL this year, obviously, with the rushing attack that they have. They're averaging 203.8 rush yards per game, which is just fucking not even right. They are the first team to average over 200 rush yards per game since Walter Payton in 1977 with the Bears. It's been a long goddamn time since someone's had over 200. Todd Gurley has had less than 100 yards in the last 9 games. And Lamar is 14-3 in his first 17 games in the NFL. So just with all those things in mind, and the fact that it doesn't even matter what the Rams offense really does. It's just can they keep up with Lamar Jackson? Can they keep up with what the Ravens are doing on offense? Do they have the people to keep up with that team? Now, it's going to be a little interesting. The matchups are going to be interesting because Jalen Ramsey's a very good corner, and he's obviously going to be covering Hollywood. I would imagine he's going to be on Brown or is he going to be on Andrews? I don't really know, but it's one of those things where you're like, man, Lamar's got a ton of weapons out there. Who the fuck do you cover? And for those reasons, I like the Ravens to just destroy this Rams team. I don't have much positives to say about the Rams because they're garbage, and I'm glad that they're failing this year. I feel so vindicated having made this prediction with the 49ers winning the division, the Seahawks finishing in second, and the Rams missing the fucking playoffs. All right, I'm good. I hate the Ravens still. With all that praise I showered on them, they're not I don't like them, by the way, people. I fucking hate this team.
Alright. So, I guess I could add, since you're not, I think I have a couple things I can add to it. The first thing is pretty obvious. The Ravens do have the number one scoring offense. They've scored 341 points, first in the NFL.
Jesus Christ.
And, yes, they've scored. And they do have a defense to back it up. The Ravens offense, while not ranked number one, they've only allowed 196 points total, which is fifth for the NFL. So number one in offense by a big margin. And then they have the fifth best defense. So obviously they're going to be a tough opponent whenever you go face them. You look at the Rams, they've scored 243 points, not even cracking the top 10. That's ranked 13th. The only thing they have in the top 10 is points allowed, 198, and that's barely in there in ninth place. So the number one ranked offense versus the ninth best defense, obviously the Ravens are going to go in there and just destroy the Rams defense there. And in the 13th ranked offense versus the fifth ranked defense, yeah, this Rams team just sitting there doesn't even have a chance against the Ravens. There's really no positives for the Ravens, no positives for the Rams, other than the fact that I think they have the home field advantage. But
Jesus,
it's going to be
that bad.
That's just how bad. That's the only thing they have over there. The Ravens scoring again a whopping 341 points, and who has the second best? The second best was the Chiefs.
Oh.
No, second was the Chiefs. So again, just like how good the Patriots defense is, from first to second, it's like a 40-point difference. It's the same here between the Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Where are the Cowboys at on the list? Are Cowboys third?
Cowboys in scoring offense are sixth in scoring offense and sixth. Yeah.
What about yards per game?
No, I'm looking at scoring.
Okay.
Yards per game is fake. It doesn't matter.
Yards per game, they're first, I think. Or yards per game. I mean total yards on offense. I think the Cowboys are first because Dak leads the league in passing.
Yeah, I don't really care too much entirely about how well they're able to move the ball down the fild. What I
know, it's
really care about, I care mostly about how good they are at scoring. And right now, the Ravens are the best team in scoring, and they're really good at preventing people from scoring. Like, you can let up a lot of yards, but if you keep them from scoring a lot, then that's a pretty darn good defense.
That's Matt Patricia's philosophy. Bend, don't break.
Yeah.
Lions are made of cheap fucking aluminum, though, and they keep snapping every time they bend.
Yeah, I don't care how many yards you give up. I care about the score, how many points you allow. I don't care how many yards you go down the field. But to
be fair, though, that's also like Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick both have the same philosophy. Give up the yards; they don't fucking matter. Just don't let them score. And usually those kind of defenses are dominant once the field gets short. You cannot move on them inside of like the 30. Score on them outside of 30, because if you don't, you're not gonna score. You're probably throwing a pig.
And the reason why I don't care about yards on offense is because you hear it all the time. Like, I hear Skip Bayless. Here's the thing. Cowboys are my second favorite team. But you hear from Skip Bayless all the time. Dak Prescott had this many yards this game. He went so far. He had a really good amount of yards this game. How many points did he get from that? And how did they win the game that week?
Skip Bayless is a true fan, though. There is no one
He
that
is a true
describes
fan.
being a fan harder than Skip. He throws jerseys in the garbage because they've had bad stretches and shit, then gets them out of the garbage in an apology video, basically. That's a whack job, dude. That's a certified nut
So
job.
he is a true fan, but like I said, I don't care. That's why I don't care about the art.
Do you know how he got famous? Skip?
How?
You don't know how he got his fame, most of his fame. Well, he's a very, he's always been a pretty decent journalist, but he got really famous when he wrote a book in the 90s, pretty much questioning whether or not inside of the book he was writing about the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, and he wrote about how he thinks Troy Aikman might be a homosexual.
Oh, I remember that now.
Because basically he said he knows somebody who works at one of those bars, and Troy's was rumored to be constantly there. So it's just kind of like, huh. Like Skip's cousin worked there or something, like his female cousin. So interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't really matter.
So, but Ravens really top-notch offense, really top-notch defense against a mediocre offense and I guess an okay defense. That's basically Ravens win. Anything you want to add, Trevor?
Brandon Cooks is supposed to be back from his concussion. Robert Woods is up in the air because he has that family issue.
Yeah.
So Goff is not going to be stuck with just one receiver this time, but I don't really think it matters because it's basically, if you separate the splits, he's really good when he has all three, and he's really bad when he's missing even one of them.
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the big.
That offense runs 11 personnel like 90% of the time. They rarely go away from those three wide receivers.
It's so systematic. So the second the system's broken, Goff just goes, error does not compute, like the dial-up noise.
Those three receivers, when they're all healthy, are on the field for like 97% of snaps or something. It's insane.
Oh my god.
The only other thing I agree that Ravens are going to win. I think it'll probably be by double digits. The only other thing I have to mention is that Marcus Peters is probably going to get pick six on Goff because Goff loves to turn the ball over and throw into traffic, and Marcus Peters is good when he's used right, as shown. The Rams didn't use him right. They tried to play him in zone, which is not what
he's a pure man coverage corner. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh,
Marcus Peters is a great example of how defensive coaching impacts players. He was burnt toast for the Rams, playing in a terrible scheme fit, and now he honestly looks like a top 5 corner.
Yeah, John Harbaugh goes, yeah, what do you want? You're good at man, aren't you? And he goes, yeah, coach, that's what I'm a man coverage corner. Go play man then. I don't fucking need you playing zone coverage. You got Eric Weddle for that.
This just solidifies for me how, although it wouldn't happen based off how the award is typically done, I think John Harbaugh is the coach of the year because of what he's done, specifically with Lamar Jackson and implementing.
He could win that award, by the way,
along with Greg Roman. But just the whole team as a whole, John Harbaugh's been a top 5 coach.
I think Harbaugh could actually probably will win Coach of the Year this year. I can't think of maybe Kyle Shanahan.
Shanahan is almost
the front runner, right? Yeah, never mind.
Just because of the huge win improvement, he's already at 7 more wins than last year.
And it's coaching. It's really coaching. If you're being honest with the 49ers, it's coaching how they're winning.
The award is basically who takes the worst team, whose team improved the most. That's basically Coach of the Year.
So the Ravens, if it wasn't for the 49ers, Harbaugh will probably finish in second, just because he's going to get a lot of credit for what he did with Lamar, what they've done with Lamar, the patience, the willing to commit.
Get some love too.
For the Bills, I think he's going to get a lot of consideration too. As much as I hate him, and I'm so scared of that team in the future, because if Josh Allen develops, it's all over. It's all fucking over, ladies and gentlemen. The Bills are going to win a Super Bowl. You heard it here first. If Josh Allen develops into a halfway decent quarterback, we're all fucked.
Didn't
Dude, 'cause
aren't the Bills the team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't win a single one?
Yeah, that was them. Hilarious.
That was them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think them winning a Super Bowl, it's kind of a bit of a stretch thing.
That defense is so good. All they need is a halfway decent quarterback, and they would never. They're winning despite Josh Allen.
Sean McDermott's doing something real similar to what Mike Zimmer did with the Vikings. He took one of the worst defenses in the league and transformed it in 2 or 3 years to one of the best.
It's all because they were dirty motherfuckers when they played in the NFL, and they were like dominant. Didn't they both play defense in the NFL? I know Zimmer, I believe, played linebacker.
I have no clue.
But I think they both played, and I believe they're both pretty goddamn good. And makes sense. Anyway, I don't think that matters. Are we good on this topic? Because we've already been going for an hour.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
But I think these next two topics, that's why I kind of moved this to the start.
What?
Because I think that what's up?
I said start.
Oh, okay.
Move these to the start.
Yeah, I moved this to the start because I thought it would be a good way to start it because I knew it was going to be the majority of the show. I think these next two topics actually are going to go by decently quick. Because they're kind of just more open-ended, like thought questions, like just ideas to spin around. Especially this first one, which is, are we at the end of a quarterback era and the end of this era is caused by the very quick evolution of these young quarterbacks in the league right now. Typically, they're a little bit more athletic. They're very mobile. They can throw the ball all over the field. They're impossible to sack. It's guys like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, to a lesser degree Jared Goff, to a lesser degree Baker Mayfield, to a lesser degree, I guess you could even include Matthew Ryan and Matthew Stafford if you want to push it. That's the absolute oldest you can go is those two. They're kind of like the grandfathers of the new era, in my opinion. I guess I'll go first on this topic just so we can kind of have an idea what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like we've seen, because Ryan did just move into like 10th place all time. But we kind of seen the evolution of all these teams minus the Falcons and the Lions. And and a couple other, the Browns are bad this year. And Kyler Murray you can throw into the conversation. These guys are all going to be around in the NFL for probably the next 10 years. And they're probably going to be very relevant.
Mahomes.
You could, Mahomes. You can include Sam Darnold and Josh Allen if you think they're going to develop. But they're big name already. They're like Cam Newton. It's like all these guys, Teddy Bridgewater. It's like there's like you could see the future of the NFL. It's sitting right there. Maybe even Gardner Minshew. Like it's almost seeming like, all right, these are the pieces. These are all the pieces for the new NFL. Because in the next 5 years, Brady won't be playing, Breeze won't be playing, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. Who else is going to be gone? Let's see, Trubisky will probably be gone because he's garbage. Jameis will be gone. Andrew Luck's already retired. It's just like
Manning's gone.
Yeah, we already got Eli.
Right.
So and like, but Rodgers will be gone in the next 5 years.
Breeze? Did you get Breeze?
Yeah, I got Breeze. Rodgers, Brady, and Breeze being gone in the next 5 years to me signals the end of an era because they were all drafted before 2006. They all were, they're Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, all these guys. They're all gone in the next 5 years, and those are the last of the big lumbering slow quarterbacks, the unathletic quarterback mantra, the 6'4" prototype pocket passer. Is that over? Is that all over? I happen to think, I don't think we're gonna see guys built like Tom Brady coming into the league. Built like Drew Brees, built like, and when I say built, like I mean like they can't run, they can really just throw the ball down the field. You're not scared of them running. You never were afraid of Peyton Manning busting off a 20-yard run. If you were, whatever you're smoking, I need a lot of. It sounds really, really good to see Peyton Manning run at 5 miles an hour and go, oh shit, here he coming. I think they once put up the goddamn miles per hour that him and Brady ran. It was like 13 and 14 miles an hour. And you're just like, that's fucking so goddamn sad. These guys are like premier. These should be premier athletes. And they're not even, like, the average NFL speed I think is like 17 miles an hour. 18 even. And these fucking dudes are running like that slow. I mean, in compare, like, that's faster than I think I could ever dream of running. I think. I actually don't know if that's true or not, because I don't know how slow that is. But they look horribly slow out there. And when you see these new quarterbacks, even the most unathletic looking ones can just move. Like, Baker doesn't look like he could run that well, and he can get around perfectly. Like, he's hard to get to. Gardner Minshew could move around a bit. All these guys, it's just like they can all move. And it's very interesting to see. I'm pretty sure we're at the end of an era. Maybe this year, maybe next year, 3 years from now, I would officially call it the new era. You could even probably get away with it at the end of this season, because the NFL is shifting focus. It's no longer about the dinosaurs of the past as they break records this year and thrash their way about. I don't even know if the Saints might be relevant next year just because of the team itself is so good. But I don't think if Brady leaves, that's the end of the Patriots. Rivers will be gone next year. The Chargers are going to be shitty as fuck. That's going to be hilarious what the Chargers look like next year, by the way. The Steelers will have Ben for like next year, and then he'll probably retire. I don't know. I guess that's really all I have to say. I think this is the start of a new era. It'll be ushered in by stupid Mahomes and stupid Jackson, who I happen to like Lamar, so I don't know why I called him stupid Jackson. So much for a running back. All right, I'm good.
For me, I thought about it for a little bit. I was sitting there thinking, no way it's the end of an era. Because I was sitting there thinking there's always going to be these quarterbacks where they're able to sit in the pocket, slow moving, as long as they're able to throw the ball really well. But then I started.
About that? Like, are you sure like that's always going to be
that was my first
yeah.
That was my first thought, okay? But then I sat back and thought, well, I mean, you may think that, but there was a time whenever there were no pass plays. And all of a sudden there were these quarterbacks that rarely threw the ball, and they were mostly just still rushing teams, and then we got these deep passes now. And then that's gone. It's like the NFL is just constantly changing and evolving. And so to deny that is just to deny what's true, because the game's always going to be changing. The game's always going to be evolving. And yeah, I think this is, I'm not going to call it the official end yet. I'm going to call it the official end when Brady retires. That's the end of the era for me. I'm not looking at Breeze or Aaron Rodgers, because those are good pocket passers, but really Brady is he's the number one pocket passer. He's like the whole ideal one. He's one of the most unathletic ones, but he's great in the pocket. He can't really run the ball at all. It took him how many years to get 1,000 yards? But again, he was a great passer. He broke the record for most touchdowns in a year with 50 one time. He has passes for a lot of yards every season. He is the whole, when you think of the concept of those kind of quarterbacks, Brady is that whole idea. So once he's gone, that's the end of the era for me. You're probably going to have a couple here or there, but once he's gone, the people who's going to be dominating the league is going to be it's going to either be Lamar Jackson, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes, maybe Watson, or maybe Wilson. It's going to be one of those quarterbacks that's going to build their dynasty. Once they have their dynasty, that's the start of the era. The end of the Patriots dynasty is the end of the era. Their whole dynasty for nearly a decade now, nearly 2 decades. That's the era. Once they're gone, that's the end of this era and the start of the new era. I don't care about the others. It's Brady. That's the start and end of this era for me.
Okay, that's fair. I like that. So you're pretty sure it's the start of something new is going on here?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's official just yet. It's going to be official once he retires, though.
Once Brady's fine. Once the boogeyman steps away.
Yeah.
All right. Do you got any, what do you have anything you want to say there, Trevor, about this? Well, I mean, it's your turn anyway. Oh shit, he's muted. Uh-oh.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't really think there's all too much to add to what you said.
Yeah, I know.
We
I
can
kind of
see this coming
it.
because,
Yeah.
like, we got the 3 quarterbacks from 2004. We got Breeze and Brady before that, and they're all in the very similar path. And I mean, you can also
It's
see
all
it coming
ending at
with
once, though.
a lot of
Isn't
the
it? How
quarterbacks
sad is that? It's all going to be at one big moment too.
Yeah, like you could picture like Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Manning. At least 3 of them retiring in the same offseason. You could realistically picture that.
Yeah, as sad as that is.
Yeah, like with Rivers, the last 2 games have been awful.
He looks washed up.
Eli's already benched. Last year, Drew Brees fell off late in the year, and he might still do it, but he almost certainly would have if he didn't get that blessing in disguise injury.
Yeah,
Brady's
falling off. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it.
Brady's head is still there, but his arm isn't.
Yeah.
I don't. It's one of those weird things with Tom. It's like he's still hitting dudes right in the fucking hands this year, and it's not. It's like if he had a good receiver other than Edelman being triple covered, I wonder. But you still got to make plays with what he got. He's fallen off. Old Tom wouldn't have the offense this bad.
Yeah. Yeah, Brady. He's always been not the most athletically tuned quarterback, but he does seem, other than like you said, Trevor, his brain, where he makes smart decisions. He's definitely been worse and worse.
Yeah, sorry, Trevor, to interrupt.
All right. I mean, that's all I really had.
All right. Yeah. So that's pretty much going to be that topic. That was kind of more of just a free thought. This one's a little bit more fun as we do enter the last topic of the show this evening, and that is where injured quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Did I say that right? I looked up how to say his name before the stream so I could get it right, and I was kind of like, Tagovailoa. Let's see if that's how you say it. I'm just gonna run with it. It sounds really, really close, if not exactly.
I don't look up how to say it. I don't look up how you say it. I just went. I'm not even gonna try the last time. I'm just gonna call him Tua.
I've heard it's described like tongue and then viola. Like you're supposed to kind of say it fast, like Tagovailoa, and then you have it down. But I don't think that really matters. Of course, everybody knows he just had the Bo Jackson surgery. Of course, his injury wasn't as bad as Bo's, who kind of tried to play on what happened to his hip. Kyler didn't, and as long as there's no setbacks, not Kyler, but Tua, as long as there's no setbacks or any kind of things, and it looks like there's not going to be, it seems like he's going to recover in full. Takes about a year. I'm pretty sure he still intends to enter the draft this year. I don't think that's any different. He's a senior, right? That's why he's going to the draft.
He's a junior.
Oh fuck that!
He has the option to come back.
He really, if he fucking stays in college with his injury, he's not going to go in the first round. He can still go in the first round if he declares right now. He'll go in round 1. He'll still go in the top rounds. I'm not going to share who I think it is quite yet because I might go last on this one because I just went first. I'm going to let Trevor go ahead and do this first.
I mean, from his perspective, he has a lot to gain and a lot to lose by staying. Because right now, I mean, it would depend on what he's thinking from teams, what mock drafts are saying. Because myself, I wouldn't take a risk on that.
Mock drafts have him going in the first round to the Patriots right now.
There's a certain point where it makes sense. Like the Patriots could very well be a.
Think about how smart of a team that would be to pick him up. Let him sit in injury for a year. Let him learn with Tom Brady. Holy.
Yeah, but like
y'all know my pick.
If you're like the Bengals or the Dolphins or some other team at the top of the draft, you can't afford to whiff
No, you
on.
can't. No, it's
First
Joe Burrow's
off,
and
I
Hibbert.
don't think Tua is a great prospect anyway.
No, me either.
Like,
I actually don't.
I thought he was a borderline first-round pick right now. As it
Yeah,
stands,
and he's a lefty.
before the
Like,
injury.
lefties are a big problem because you have to switch your offensive line.
Yeah, but this injury just kills him. If I was a GM, I would. There's very few teams of which, if I were hypothetically the GM, I would be willing to take him in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. So do you think he should stay then? Is that kind of what you're leaning on?
I don't know, because see, the difference is what I would do versus what NFL GMs would do.
Yeah,
There's going to be some GM that, like, I highly doubt he falls out of the top 15, probably not even out of the top 10 with that
Just
injury.
because
But-
he's a team's going to move up to grab him because the team's like, we can sit him.
Yeah.
We have the team to sit him.
And it could be a Lamar Jackson situation.
The
where
Packers could take him. I could
Lamar
see the
didn't
Packers.
get hurt, but he got a big blessing in getting drafted by a good team.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Like the Packers draft Tua, or because I mean Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career. He's like 37 years old. He's been injured like 3 times, pretty goddamn severely. Once in the collarbone, and we've seen what that did to Aaron Rodgers and Tony Romo's career. Cut them short, real premature. So, and Aaron rushed back to finish a shitty season for whatever stupid fucking reason that was. To get swept by the Lions. That's what he rushed back for. Whew, I hate that team so much. I'm so happy they were bad for 2 years. All right, Trey. I think Trevor, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, Trey.
Yeah. When I was kind of looked through teams, I didn't see very many teams that would as well. I was trying to think in what that team might be thinking. I was going through each team one at a time. And there's a lot of teams that definitely won't pick him because they already have the quarterbacks. Cowboys won't be getting him. Texans won't be getting him. Raiders won't be getting him. I think Bills are going to settle with Josh Allen, stuff like that. The Ravens won't get him. And so all those teams are out. Then you got the teams that are bad, that probably won't risk going to a injured quarterback that's just coming off an injury, that's had
You know
multiple
who might?
injuries.
The Bengals might, just because they do have Andy Dalton. They could start for another year or two, and then they could have a similar situation to a Joe Flacco thing.
Andy Dalton will not be returning to the Bengals.
No, he was like, trade me, motherfuckers. As soon as they like,
relationship.
Dude,
Even
honestly, he could have went to Chicago and saved their entire season.
Yeah. They could offer Andy Dalton $20 million a year, and he would not stay with that team after what they did.
No, he's like, you guys could have at least tried to trade me before this happened. Dude, I felt so bad for him. Like, I've never felt worse than I did for Andy. Like, for any other player in the NFL, I felt bad because you could see the anger in his face. Like, why didn't you guys just tell me? I would have gotten a trade. Like, what the fuck is this? On my birthday? Like, oh, it's the dude's birthday and they did this to him.
Yeah.
Dalton's gonna go somewhere, win a Super Bowl. Watch.
I kind of narrowed it down to 3 teams. One of them was the Patriots, mostly because lots of people had the Patriots doing for reasons like you said, sitting him out and developing him before throwing him into the mix. But 2 teams that I think would be desperate enough to do something like that. Number 1, the Dolphins, and number 2, the Bears.
Dolphins
Yes,
will be
they do
taking
have
Burrows or Hibbert.
I don't think they have the number 1 pick right now, though.
They have like the number 2 pick. No, they have the like 3 or 4. Number 1 would be the Bengals, and the Bengals are going to take Joe Burrows. Like, that's a goddamn foregone conclusion. I don't think they're going to pick Chase Young. And then I'm pretty sure the Jets or the Redskins are going to take Chase Young. And then all of a sudden the Redskins are a big conversation with Montez Sweat and Chase Young. That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, so like I said, Dolphins I think would be desperate in that situation. And another team that I think might be doing it out of desperation, just to grab a quarterback if he's like one of the best ones left after the good ones taken away. The Bears. Yes, they still have Trubisky, but
The Bears are signing Teddy B or getting Cam. I think they're going to go with an already ready NFL quarterback. I think they've realized the mistake they made with Trubisky because they were finally allowed to bench him without an actual injury being real. And then and Nagy was all giddy after the game, like he had been given like the news, like, yeah, we're done with this fucking retard. We're gonna go get a quarterback and we're gonna try and get Teddy Bridgewater up here.
Yeah, but yeah, basically it's just whoever would get him. If it's not the Patriots, because that's what people are projecting, but I'm not too sure. I'm not 100% sure about the Patriots. It would be a team that's, later in the round that's just desperate for a quarterback. And that's not the kind of situation that he would want to be in. So I don't know about I'm not too sure why about the drafting him. Patriots might go for him.
Because he's a smart quarterback and he'd fit into the system.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the biggest arm, which you don't need in the Patriots offense. Pretty intelligent quarterback, makes good decisions, incredibly clutch. It's literally just like, and he's more athletic than Brady, so it adds that component. Not much more athletic, but he's more athletic.
So, if he goes to the Patriots, he goes to the Patriots. If he doesn't go to the Patriots, he just ends up on a team that's just desperate for a quarterback that he probably won't succeed in. So it's either Patriots or not a good team.
I could see a few teams wanting him, to be perfectly honest. I could see the Packers looking at him as a long-term option, the Chargers looking at him as a long-term option, the Steelers looking at him as a long-term option. I really see the Steelers going in on this for some reason. They have the kind of organizational, foundational support for him. They're very, very good with injured players. They need a real quarterback of the future. Obviously, Mason Rudolph isn't going to be the solution. They've seen that. They're getting an extended look. Mason's just not the guy. Something's wrong with him, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a composer issue, but Mason's not going to last in the NFL, I don't think. Like, he's incredibly bad. I think it's hilarious, but it seems like the Steelers, the Patriots, the Packers, the Chargers, that kind of feels like it's only, I feel like it's a little bit of the opposite of what you were saying, Trey. I think he's only going to wind up going to a team that's very well set up to set in a player like that, because there's going to be a lot of like media too as a popular player. It's going to be distracting a little bit. They're going to need a very sure-minded quarterback to know that kid's probably going to take my job, but I'm going to probably be retiring at that point anyways. So, bad teams taking him? I don't think so. I think they want a quarterback right the fuck now, and they're not about to they don't have the assets to let a top-tier draft pick like that sit out. So I don't see it being a bad team whatsoever, because I just don't think they can't afford to waste that pick like a team like the Patriots could, right? I'm actually shocked we haven't traded our first pick yet. I'm like, oh, I thought we traded you. All right, cool. I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those teams. I didn't know he was a junior. That means he's probably just going to stay back like a goddamn idiot and get hurt again, and then fall to like the 7th round of the draft. Because that's what'll happen, right? If he goes back to college and gets hurt again, he goes undrafted. Like, that's just, or if he doesn't win the national championship as a senior, you go undrafted. Like, you can go from being a first-round draft pick as a junior. See Tim Tebow, who was still a first-round draft pick, but he would have gone like number 1 if he came out in his junior year. That's pretty much when your hype is at its highest. Could you imagine if Darnold had gone back to USC for his last year of eligibility? How much of a fucking idiot he would have been, because he'd have ruined his draft position. He'd have went back to USC, threw even more interceptions than he did the year before, and he'd have been seeing ghosts against UCLA or something. Seeing ghosts. I don't know. I'm kind of running out of steam because this was a long episode, and I did like an hour and then 30-minute stream that turned into politics.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was fun. It was actually pretty fun, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I hope he doesn't wind up staying in college. I hope he goes to the pros and winds up with my New England Patriots. That's where I'm kind of predicting he winds up. I mean, it just makes beautiful sense. The Patriots need something for the future. Brady's probably going to be around for next year because he's going to drag his dumbass out back for another season. And they're going to let it. Everyone's like, oh, they're not going to re-sign him. Really? What else are the Patriots going to do? They're going to turn to Jarrett Stidham to take over the middle of a dynasty reign? No, I don't think so. They're going to pick up a guy in the first round if they could snake a first round quarterback. Hell yeah, do it. Let him develop. And then just deal with the switching to a left-handed quarterback thing. That's the only thing that scares me. I don't know if Bill's going to take a lefty QB. He likes lefty kickers, but lefty punters anyway. I don't know. I'm spent.
Yeah, I'm done too.
All right. You guys all set?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Uncontested. We did we talked about the trio of primetime games, first time in NFL history, where it's 3 teams with a 500 record or better, all fitting into those slots. And then we talked about, is this the end of a certain era in the NFL regarding like offense and quarterback style? And then we talked, of course, about where will Tua end up in the NFL. So, yeah, that was our show, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Trey of Texas Sports TV, Trevor of, I don't really know his gang affiliations, and, of course, Dirty Rob of Dirty Rob TV. So, thank you. Have a great night. Thank you for listening, and peace out. Have a good rest of your whatever.